use Ecosia. I've been trying to get green organizations to promote Ecosia because they've dedicated 93 million to climate action and planted 230 million trees. So basically, as you can see, it's like a search engine like Google. And it's very strange. The response I've been getting from green parties is very, very baffling, because you have all these green parties. I've been, I live in Portugal. I've tried to contact two green parties, PAN and Livre, and I've told them, look, every month they make 3.4 million, they finance this many trees. Imagine by increasing the number of people that use Ecosia, you make it 4 million, yeah? Ecosia has a spreading the word part of their budget, 4.5. If you increased the amount of people using Ecosia, then these green parties could, ask for some funding from Ecosia and help them grow and help them become bigger. Also, Ecosia has other climate impact, which does a similar thing. It's they invest in solar panels, any kind of carbon capture to improve the environment, to do something about global warming. And I got radio silence from these people. I have no idea why. Genuinely no idea. Because this is February. They're completely transparent about how much they make. This year they donated more. They pay taxes, so it's better than most corporations. And this is a charitable corporation. So imagine what you could do if they had, 100 billion. You might say, well, that's a bit much, no? But imagine the whole world uses Ecosia. They get 3 million from 20 million users. Imagine they had 25 million users. That's already a huge bump. Imagine they had 40 million users. Imagine they have, whatever. So I created a Twitter account recently. I can't really get it up because my internet is shit, but basically I've been promoting Ecosia to green organizations and green figures. It's very slow work though, because most people also don't really want to listen. I don't know why. Maybe because it's a corporation. I think that's very short-sighted. Very, very short-sighted. You imagine you have an organization that can generate millions and pay and finance good climate initiatives, but you're against it simply because it's a corporation. There aren't millions of corporations which are doing active harm that you can't do anything about, but you want to just say, well, I'm against corporations generally, so I won't use Ecosia. I mean, that would be, if that's the reason, then they're really, really fucking stupid. But yeah, I mean, if everyone on Twitter, if everyone on social media promoted Ecosia, particularly green accounts, obviously, to begin with, but, I think there are many conservatives, many centrists, many people who are not necessarily, left-wing. You don't have to be left-wing to care about where you live, right? The environment affects everyone, whether you're rich or poor. I mean, sure, you can maybe buy a mansion and escape a bad climate if you're rich, but it still affects you, right? You're still going to have natural disasters. You're still going to have power cuts that affect you because of climate disasters. So, frankly, if all the green parties got together, they could create a green international, and they could completely wipe out any other political parties. And I think one of the methods to do that would be to promote Ecosia massively. Their income in March was 3 million. Imagine if their income was 300 million. You get millions of people to use it. And then you can use other climate impact, to put solar panels on people's houses. And you can use spreading the word their spreading the word budget to help fund your political parties, which in turn grow bigger, and then use Ecosia. You can then use government influence to make computers browse Ecosia, so that people then again funnel into Ecosia. You could really recycle this influence to create a massive movement for Ecosia and a massive green movement, and massively increase all the green parties in Europe. But some people don't want to do that, and I don't know why. I genuinely do not understand why, because you have, I'm probably waffling, but you have an opportunity of a lifetime to just beef up this organization. Many people say, particularly on the far left, sort of like, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Well, maybe, but I think this is the most ethical consumption you can do under capitalism, right? You just use a web browser and you help the environment. It's so easy, it's laughable, right? Like, no one's asking you to be a vegan or to live in a mud hut in the woods. This is ludicrously easy. Ludicrously easy. You just go on the internet with this browser. That's it, right? And you ask other people to do the same. And we could have a movement which is 100 times larger than it currently is, right? We could have massive funding through this organization, which at the moment is doing okay, but it's not doing as well as it could do, right? Imagine if all the green parties got together and they said, use Ecosia, use Ecosia, use Ecosia, right? Even like the most milquetoast centrist man would be like, this is a good thing. What's bad about it? What, that they're funding trees? That they're funding climate impact? Like, if they give you a free solar panel, are people going to complain? No, of course not. They're going to use it, and they're going to be happy to use it. And every Green Party I know would become bigger. And a Green Party, not just in Europe, but in Africa, in South America, everywhere. Like, hell, you could, if you care about dictatorships, you could fund green movements in countries where political parties and protests are not even allowed. Right? You could really, really like crank it up to make a really formidable movement. But people don't want to do it. I don't know why, but at least 2 parties in Portugal, they don't want to do it. I emailed the Green Party of Britain, the same thing, of England and Wales technically, same thing. They didn't get back to me. They don't see the value of it, which is insane. So that's why I created this video. I hope people see the value of what I'm saying. You could do so much. That's the thing. You could do so infinitely much. Right? We could change everything. Change the entire political landscape of Europe. Many people complain about the far right, and maybe I'll make a separate video about that. The far right is gaining in Europe. Imagine for a minute, all the green parties got together all over the world, and they promoted Ecosia to the maximum, right? Everyone starts using Ecosia, even centrists, even all the leftists. What's going to happen to the political landscape of your country? It would completely change, right? It would completely change because, many people don't do climate conscious things because they think it's pointless, because they think, well, I want to live with all my luxuries. I'm not going to sacrifice anything, for the planet or whatever. It's not appealing to say to people, well, by the way, you're going to live in poverty because otherwise, the planet's destroyed. This is not to valorize like, infinite consumption and production, but with this, you can convince people to be more optimistic about the environment and that there is something we can do, and not to be a complete nihilist and say, well, there's nothing we can do and, let's just get on with it. We can reverse runaway climate change. We can, we can fund algae. That's another video I can do, we could fund algae farms for carbon capture with Ecosia money. There's a lot of things we could do. A lot of things. And hopefully we do them. Hopefully people see the value of what I'm proposing. And, this could be 200 million. This could be billions. This could be even more. It could be billions of trees financed every month. We could change every government in Europe. Every government. Literally every single fucking government we could topple. We could put a green government in every single government. And I'm not saying they're all perfect, because there's many green governments. Green parties I disagree with on a variety of issues, like the German Green Party position on Israel, for example. I mean, Germans have a very bizarre sort of guilt trip on Israel. But, we could do so much, and we don't. And I don't understand why. So, use Ecosia, and we can save the world. Don't, and the Green parties will not be so influential. I mean, if I had to summarize what I'm saying so far, it's if we all used Ecosia, Green parties would be massively bigger, right? Right, and all Green parties should be promoting it because it's in their best interest to promote it. And that's that.